All right. Mm, yeah, I'm like just checking if it's working. I thought I figured it out this time, but oh, it always gets me, yeah. But yeah, hey, this is my Saturday morning. I just woke up, but let's read some Chinese poetry. Okay, so let's start with this one. Our uh was one of my favorites, this guy called Wang Wei, this Buddhist poet. And so this first poem is called To, what's the tone for this? To Qi Wu Qian, bound home after failing in an examination. So 送齐无钱，落地还乡。Alright. 胜待无影者，应灵尽来归。遂令东山客，不得闲采薇，不得顾采薇。既至荆门远，孰云悟道非？将为度寒食，经络逢春衣。置酒长安道，同心与我为。行当福贵，捉未己福尽金瓶，今非远树待行客，孤城当落灰。勿谋事不用，勿谓知音兮。In a happy reign, there should be no hermits. The wise and able should consult together. So you, a man of the eastern mountains, gave up your life of picking herbs and came all the way to the gate of gold, but you found your devotion unavailing. To spend the day of fire on one of the southern rivers, you have mended your spring clothes here in these northern cities. I pour you the farewell wine as you set out from the capital. Soon I shall be left behind here by my bosom friend. In your sailboat of sweet cinnamon wood, you will float again toward your own thatched door, led along by distant trees to a sunset shining on a faraway town. What though your purpose happen to fail, doubt not that some of us can hear high music. Wow. Wow, that's really good. Oh, incisive analysis. It's really good. But yeah, it is, right? So I guess sorry, let me just check on the chat. But yeah, this is the context is, I mean, it's not just any examination this guy's failing, right? It's the imperial examination, which is like a huge deal. And yeah, so he must be pretty discouraged. The fact that he sort of didn't pass the examination, because that means he didn't get a job, like a high ranking job. And so now his friend Wang Wei is trying to console him, which we have. And so it starts, in a happy reign, there should be no hermits. The wise and able should consult together. Usually when we talk about hermits in East Asian culture, it's kind of a good thing. It's like, oh, well, there are a lot of, but there's this idea that if you are sort of very wise and almost like holy, then and sometimes the world is very corrupt. And so the best thing for you to do is just to like run off to the mountains and live your own peaceful life. So when you call people a hermit, it's almost it's not like a bad thing, right? In some ways it's like beyond this ordinary world. And that's why he's sort of saying like in a happy reign there should be no hermits, because if the king is like doing things right, then all the wise people, all the talented people, they should be able to come serve in court without worrying about like getting screwed over. Yeah, so usually it's like you become a hermit for like self-protection. That's sort of one idea. Yeah. Yeah, I mean there are many reasons, but that's one way of thinking about why you would be a hermit. So that's why he would say that in a happy reign there should be no hermits. the wise and able should consult together. So you, a man of the eastern mountains, gave up your life of picking herbs and came all the way to the gate of gold. So in this case, it is like he's saying, well, you're very talented, but then you also realize that times are good, and so it's appropriate for you to serve society, right? And then the gate of gold, I suppose it would be somewhere in the capital. Why don't we see what it means? Oh. Okay. So here there's another variant. It could either be gate of gold or gate of the Lord. So gate of gold, it's a name of a. Okay, it's sort of a historical allusion again. So gate of gold is a name of this gate in the palace during the Han Dynasty. So that's like a few hundred years ago prior to, is a few hundred years before the poem itself. So this is where I guess the talented people who want to serve the court, they wait for the emperor's summons. So that's one allusion. But if not, if you read it as the Lord of the gate of the Lord, that just means like I guess just another way to mean the emperor. But anyway, the idea is clear, right? It's to just go to the palace, go to the capital. Yeah. And then next, but you found your day of your devotion unavailing. To spend the day of no fire on one of the southern rivers, you have mended your spring clothes here in these northern cities. So I think that, so the day of no fire is like, I think it's Qingming, is just this major holiday. And it seems to, I guess this is to say like, you did spend a lot of time here in the capital. Not super sure. All right, let's see. I think that means like traveling, is it? Yeah, it's just that you have traveled a long time, basically. And then I have poured you the farewell wine as you set out from the capital. Soon I shall be left behind here by my bosom friend. I mean, it's kind of obvious what it's saying, right? Okay, so then yeah, this guy, this Qi Wu Qian is gonna leave, and then he'll leave in your sailboat of sweet cinnamon wood. You will float again towards your own thatched door, led along by distant trees to a sunset shining on a faraway town. Wow. What though your purpose happen to fail? Doubt not that some of us can hear music. This is very interesting, right? Because it seems to suggest that I mean the ending, right? That doubt not that some of us can hear high music, which just means that that he thinks that his friend is very talented. It's just that, to like, the metaphor is that the people giving the exam are tone deaf, right? And so it's sort of like he is worthy. It's just people don't recognize his worth. When you put it like that, it almost suggests that like that it isn't a happy rain, right? Because then this guy is going back to become a hermit. So it seems like it's almost, but by mentioning this in the very first line, that in the happy rain, right? This sheng dai, it is like you wouldn't have to do it if you're just consoling your friend. But the fact that he chose to do it, I think he's almost critiquing the I guess the system itself, or at least the judgment of the rulers or the examiners. Which I don't know, kind of crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think this is good consolation? Like, let's say you failed like a job interview or something. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't see much to say about this. Or maybe there's one comment. It's just when the last part where it says doubt not that some of us can hear high music. It's using this phrase called 知音, which is like, is this stock, is this word which just means one who knows your sound, I guess, which means like one who can understand you. Yeah. So maybe look into the story for this. But other than that, I don't really see much. I don't really see much more to analyze. So let's talk a bit about this 知音 thing. So 知音, right, it actually comes from another story. Let's search this on Google. Right, so it comes from this story from 伯牙 and 钟子期. So these are both like ancient times. I guess 400 BC. I'd say it's pretty long ago. Yeah. So then this 伯牙 is really good at playing the qin. I guess what's it? It's like a guitar, but it's a piano. That's not helpful. Okay, it's like the piano, right? Because it's like a pretty long, but then there are like all the strings on it. So it's like a guitar, but it's like huge. And it's like set down on the table, right? And then so 伯牙, so every time this 伯牙 is like really good at this qin instrument. And then every time 伯牙, he's like playing something, it's like, oh, he's thinking of like the thunder. And then 钟子期 is like, oh wow. Then he just listens to the music. He's like, wow, you're trying to portray the thunder. And it's like so they don't have to speak using words. Everything like it's almost like they're like telepathically communicating, but it's through the medium of music, right? And so that sort of is a indication of like how in sync they are and how well they understand each other. And finally, right, when the listener guy, the 钟子期, he died, right? Then 伯牙 is like heartbroken, and he just like cuts all the strings on his chin because he says, well, there's no one else who knows my sound, so that I don't have my 知音 anymore. Yeah, so that is a as a pretty common word nowadays. Yeah, so this is the maybe the locus classicus, the source of where this comes from. This term comes from. And yeah, I mean, in using this, he is alluding that this guy is his friend. In when Wang Wei says this, he's alluding that this his friend Qi Wuqian is like 伯牙, right? So he is talented, and it's just you need a certain level before you can really appreciate his talent. So yeah, I guess it is a pretty good poem. And so interesting observation. So it's sort of combining like the genre of like farewell poems where we did read some before where it's like your friend is gonna leave, and then so you write a poem about him leaving, but at the same time this is also doing the further work of consoling his friend. So I think really interesting that it's doing both. I almost forgot that I almost didn't notice that it's a farewell poem. And in terms of famous critics, so let's take a look to see if there's anything they say that is interesting. Okay, they're focusing on this two words, this Dai and Tang, and as well as 行客. So we can go back and look at those. Shoot. So 带 and 当 where's 行客? Okay, so these two lines. 忍术带行客, 孤城当落灰. So the faraway trees will be leading you, right? The distant trees will be leading the traveler, I guess. And the lone city will withstand the diminishing gleam. So just it will withstand the loss of light, I suppose. Yeah. So that's kind of a different reading from what this is here. So I guess why don't I'll check if my reading is correct. But it seems to imply that this guy is like the sun. And that he's like the place he's leaving is like, oh, okay. Or she. Okay. So they're taking a different reading here. So it is the setting sun, and its rays shine such that the lone city is very vibrant and colorful. What is the lone city? Is it the city he's leaving? I would think so, right? So in that case, it is still like he is the departing sun. I'm not sure why they're so impressed by these two words though. They just say it's good, but they don't explain why. Huh. Okay. Okay, I think I might just move on to the next poem. But yeah, okay. But I quite enjoyed this though, so okay, let's move on to this next one by the same poet, called 清溪, a green stream. All right. 沿入黄花川，美竹清溪水，随山江万转，去途500里，声喧乱石中，色尽深松里。样样贩卖范林姓，哇，诚诚养家为，我心素以见，I think it's 闲吧，我心素以前，青川但如此，请留磐石上，垂钓将已矣。Oh, you can tell I didn't get enough sleep. I'm like, can't really process what's going on. All right, let's see. I have sailed the river of yellow flowers, borne by the channel of a green stream, rounding 10,000 turns through the mountains, on a journey of less than 30 miles. Rapids hum over heaped rocks, but where light grows dim in the thick pines, the surface of an inlet sways with nut horns, and weeds are lush along the banks. Down in my heart, I have always been as pure as the limpid water is. Oh, to remain on a broad, flat rock, and to cast the fishing line forever. Okay, so he's describing this trip he is on. Sailing the river of yellow flowers. Okay. And so this is the river he's on, and through the mountains, and it's not that far, it's less than 30 miles. But okay, screw quick. Where light grows dim in the thick pines, the surface of an inlet sways with nut horns, and weeds are lush along the banks. So this all this whole first part is describing it, the scenery, I guess, the landscape. And then he starts talking about himself, right? So this usual, I think pretty common structure is you start with the scenery and then you start talking about your psychological state. And then here, down in my heart, I have always been as pure as this limpid water is. Oh, to remain on a broad, flat rock and to cast a fishing line forever. What? What psychological state is this? Okay. Why? Okay, so this is when, apparently when he's like living in the mountains as a hermit. So I think that gives us some clue as to his what's going through his mind. Uh, okay. Hmm. And here it says I guess the color of the stream, it's I don't know, but I guess just the stream is a metaphor for how he wants to have a peaceful life. I don't know. I don't think the stream is very peaceful. It seems like it's going through a lot of stuff as I'm moving so quickly. So, huh. But he says it's pure as this water is. Very puzzling. So it's pure. I mean, limpid is not a very nice word, not a very flattering word. But let's see. Yeah, okay. So the clearness, maybe pureness of the water. I guess he wants to be pure and also. Oh, I can't. I feel like I need to read a lot of Taoist stuff into this to explain what it means. Like, I mean, Taoist and Buddhist, right? Because this guy's like famous for being Buddhist. But I think it's saying like, so it's like if it's pure, right? If his heart is pure, it means that he's not attached to things. And if you know Buddhism is like, oh, attachment bad. It's like meaning you can interact with things, but you don't want to sort of be obsessed with it in your mind, in your heart. And so, and you sort of just like, and the whole Taoist idea is that you sort of just go with the flow, right? So here literally is the river is the flow. But I suppose you can also see it as him sort of like the river sort of following the turns, the landscape of the mountains. So maybe it's like, so that's a metaphor for how he is just going with the flow without attachment to things, right? Because just like how the river is always moving, it doesn't stay at a spot, right? It's not like a stagnant kind of pond. It's like I guess that's one way in which so that can be a metaphor for like not being attached. I feel I'm reading a lot into this. But yeah, but I think Chinese poems you have to read. You have to read the biography, or you have to know the biography in order to properly read the text. So, huh, okay. Hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think this river is trying to describe his psychological state. To just to go through it one more time. So the river that he is sailing, so it goes through all these 10,000 turns through the mountains. Right. So that's going with the flow and not being troubled by it, right? Like if things change, you just adapt. So that's a very Taoist idea. And in China, Taoism, Buddhism are they mutually influence each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is part of his if Wang Wei is thinking that also lah. Like this Taoist vibes. Right. So it's sort of the river is going through all these turns. And then what's it? The light grows dim in thick pines. Right, yeah. I mean the river is just doing that lah. And then it's there is light. What is that doing here? Not sure if these are maybe read as like impurities or what, but well, why don't we look at some famous critics? Maybe I'm missing something. Okay. Oh, there's barely anything. Okay, so this is kind of similar to what I said, which is it says the true state is the two lines with what starts with following the river, following the mountain. So that will be rounding 10,000 turns through the mountains on a journey of less than 30 miles. So I think that would work quite well with my interpretation. And okay, nothing else is useful. I don't know. I'm not super impressed by this. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if he doesn't have a more philosophical poem, I feel like he has to do more than just saying, I'm like a river. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm not really feeling this, but maybe I'm just sleep deprived today. All right, I think probably time to move on to the next one then. So then the next poem would be him again, Wang Wei. Is this Wei Chuan Tian Jia, a farmhouse on the Wei River. Let me just close the other tabs. So let's give this a go. 斜光照照失落，穷巷牛羊归，野老念牧童，一丈侯金飞雉构麦苗秀，蚕棉桑叶稀，田夫和锄吏相见语依依，及此目前疑义，which is 怅然盈视微。I'm so really so tired today. I can't recognize all these characters. Okay. All right, but there's this last part, this 又作智. So one of these words should be 智. I wonder where, or it could be read as 智. So that's one variant. Okay, it's from 田夫. So this 力 could be a 智. So I only knew because I'm checking the variant version, right? So, all right, let's read the English. In the slant of the sun on the countryside, cattle and sheep trail home along the lane, and a rugged old man in a thatched door leans on a staff and thinks of his son, the herd boy. There are whirring pheasants, full wheat ears, silkworms asleep, pared mulberry leaves, and the farmers, returning with hoes on their shoulders, hail one another familiarly. No wonder I long for the simple life, and am sighing the old song, oh, to go back again. Huh. Sure. I wonder if this guy's is also translating this last part by mistake, because then that's like a footnote that shouldn't be there. But okay, this is 微视 but 微视 is the name of a song, so maybe it is about. Okay, it is about to go back. Okay. What's the deal with this? Seems it seems like the same thing of like, oh, I don't want to live in the city. I want to go retire in the woods or something. So, I mean, certainly well described. Like, I'm not sure if there's anything to really dig into here other than it being very well written. So it's just, Well, let's see. I guess the thing that sticks out to me is that he ends up using another illusion at the end, right? So this 示威. Okay, so this is a poem from the 诗经, the classic of odes. So it's a pretty well, it's not pretty, it's very important. It's it's probably the most important collection of poems in like Chinese culture, I guess, because it's the first one. So everything sort of references it. Confucius says it's like, oh, you have to know it. If you don't know it, you don't even know how to speak. So super important. And this is the poem he's referencing. Well, the language is pretty hard. So, okay, but so 示威 is like, oh, the sun has set. 示威示威胡不归，为君之故，胡为乎中路？示威示威胡不归，为君之功，胡为乎泥中？ Sounds really nice, right? Actually, it's a folk song lah. So the rhythms are kind of like more like music. I would say, yeah. So it's like, so it means like, oh, it's dark. Why aren't you going home yet? So if you aren't the Lord, then why are you still in the waters? Oh, it's dark. Why aren't you home yet? If you're on the Lord, why are you still in the mud? So, interesting. So this is about, so it's like, why haven't you gone home yet? I guess then he's sort of using this to say that this is his natural home. It's like, okay. I guess there is a kind of contrast, right? Because I mean he's rich. I'm pretty sure this guy is rich. So he wants to like go live like a simple life. And then the contrast is that, in this poem that he's alluding to, it's sort of like, I don't know, like being in the mud, like it doesn't seem very nice, right? But it seems to be like a flattering, is that you should leave the mud to go back to your home. But it seems like, so it's like leave the not so nice stuff to go to the nice place. But here it's sort of the opposite for him, where, because he's already rich, so it's like he's leaving his like really nice house to go to slum it, I guess. Just live in a not so nice place. So I think there is a, not very sure about this, but it seems like there's a creative use of creative inversion here. But other than that, I'm not really sure what else it's saying other than uh I like I like the countryside. Hmm. I don't know, I'm not super impressed today with the poems. I think I'm just let's see. Let's look at what the famous critics say. So, um, this is the one, right? Yeah. So it is about going. Oh, huh. But is actually about the poet going home though, or this interpretation says it's about might be about someone else. I'm not really sure. But it can't be. It has to be an educated guy because it can't be some like the farmer is not gonna know like the Shi Jing poem, the illusion it's making. So it has to be some like nerd, right? It has to be a nerd who's who's the persona of this poem, who's the from whose perspective we are looking from. So okay, there's quite a few comments here. Hmm. Interesting. It says the first 8 lines are all describing the psychological state and not the scene. Really? So that's is that true? No, I mean it's literally talking about like cows and sheep and an old man at the door. That seems like a scene to me. Hmm. Okay, okay. So this is it says it's very realistic, but at the end it has the air of a scholar because of that posh reference to the poem, right? Hmm. Not sure what that does. Or maybe it's kind of like it's kind of like there are some people who want the simple life because they can't make it in the city, and then he's trying to be like, no, I'm not like those people. I'm like I've made it in the city, but I'm so good that I realize that sort of loops back around where it's like I've made it so well that I want to leave the city, and that's why he sort of ends it with that to say that I'm actually really smart. Which maybe it's kind of, I don't know, kind of obnoxious if you take that reading, like kind of just like trying to show off. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not feeling this. As in, it's a good poem for sure, but I mean, it's well written, but there's not much for me to really think about except like, oh, city bad, countryside good. Okay, maybe I'm just not getting the point, but yeah, not seeing it, not seeing any deeper meaning to this. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, let's try. Oh, oh, well, you have a comment. I think he wants to be young like his son again and be more simple-minded. Ah, but this is not his son, right? This is the old man's son. But says he wants to be simple-minded. Let's see. I guess so. He's talking about like these farmers, right? And sort of just, coming back with holes on their shoulders, coming back with uh yeah, like just coming back from like farming and stuff. And yeah, I guess it is a kind of simple life. I don't know. I feel like he should. Maybe it's better if there was a sort of contrast with like the city life, so we know what exactly is so good about this. But hmm, yeah, I guess yeah. I mean, I also like the simple life, but I don't know. I'm just thinking like there's nothing wrong with what he's saying, but I just feel like he could be saying more. Like it's not super insightful, I guess. Or maybe it's the point is not the point is not to be too not to think too much, just be simple. So I guess from what you're saying is like he wants to be simple-minded. That's why the poem itself is kind of simple-minded. But then he ends with this like weird, I mean the allusion to another poem though. So hmm. Or maybe well or maybe he does seem kind of regretful if he's sighing the song. Interesting. Okay, so I think you have a point then. It's like it's not that he's flexing that he's better than them, but it's that he's like, oh wow, I wish I could not be so smart. It's like, oh, I wish, or it's like all I have is this song, right? This song of a simple life. But I don't want the song. I want a simple life. So in that case, it because if it's sighing, so it's sort of regretful and yeah, that he doesn't really want this. And that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, okay. Yeah. I think this actually makes more sense to with the choice of words for sighing here. Okay. Huh. Okay, interesting. I think then this makes him a bit more obnoxious, a bit less obnoxious. And you say it's hard today, the poems seem more abstract. Right? Yeah, today is just I don't know what they're saying. Or maybe they're not trying to say anything at all. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, well, let me try this next one. I hope it's a little different. It's the same guy again. I wonder if it's just the deal with this guy. Okay, but this is about the famous lady, Xi Shi, right? The beautiful Xi Shi. So let's read the poem and then we'll look a bit more into her background on the encyclopedia. So 西施咏，艳色天下重，西施宁久微。朝为越溪女，暮作吴宫妃。见日其书重，贵来方物稀。邀人薄纸粉，不自着罗衣。君宠亦娇态，君临无是非。当时something 沙板，莫得同车归。持谢邻家子，小平安可惜。Since beauty is honored all over the empire, how could Qishu remain humbly at home, washing clothes at dawn by a southern lake, and that evening a great lady in the palace of the north? Lowly one day, no different from the others, the next day exalted, everyone praising her. No more would her own hands powder her face, or arrange on her shoulders a silken robe. And the more the king loved her, the lovelier she looked, blinding him away from wisdom. Girls who had once washed silk beside her were kept at a distance from her chariot, and none of the girls in her neighbors' houses, by pursing their brows, could copy her beauty. Okay, so let's look at the actual story of this. So this is a pretty famous person. Okay, so 春秋时代, so that's also really long ago. It's like 400 BC. Okay, yeah, sorry, 450. Yeah. All right, lah. So it's like 770 to 476 BC. So okay, even older than that, than what I said. So yeah, she was born, okay lah, she's born near the end of it, so 500s BC, and she's just yeah, she's one of the four famous great beauties of China. And apparently she started, like the poem said, she started as just like a normal, like a peasant. Her father sold firewood, and her mother made like cloth. And yeah, she Okay, so then one of the king, I guess, was kind of into her and just brought her into his court. And I guess the idea is that because she's so beautiful, and he didn't really govern the empire well, and that's why it sort of crumbled in the end. Yeah, okay. So that's the story of that. And so this is already, most of this is described in the story, right? So she was washing clothes at dawn by a southern lake, and then because she was like kind of brought into the court, so at the evening she was a great lady in a palace of the north. Yeah, and then so now she rise a lot in rank, and she wouldn't have to do things herself. But the more the king loved her, the lovelier she looked, blinding him away from wisdom. So this is like, foreshadowing. Girls who had once washed silk beside her kept a distance from her chariot. None of the girls in her neighbors' houses, by pursing their brows, could copy her beauty. I don't know what's the point of this poem. As in, I know it's about her, but I don't think there's is there some point I'm missing? I don't really see it. Or is this, if you read this with the other poems, it could be like this is why you need to live a simple life. Because if you're too outstanding, then you'll be separated from your friends, I guess. And then the empire is gonna crumble. So that's one possibility. I mean, the last part is like, I mean, if I bring in more Taoist stuff that I've been reading, can be that there's this Taoist idea where imitation will never get you to the level of like what you're trying to achieve. Like when you consciously try to do something, you will never reach it. Yeah. Like it has to come spontaneously. Like the ideal state is like just unconscious, automatic. That there is this sort of idea. And so maybe it is possible that it's talking about this, at least for the last part, right? By sort of trying to copy her, they could never do it. But I think the point is that even if they didn't copy her, they would never be able to do it because she's like so amazing, I suppose. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, is he just saying like is the whole point of the poem that she's very pretty and that it's just her story? I guess, but I don't know. Then what's the oh wow. Okay, seems like there are some allusions here. Okay, so this is this is pretty wild because the idea I was talking about of how imitation can never allow you to reach the state that you want, right? Is from this chapter, 天运. So I see that actually the line, they say this line here might be referring to that chapter as well. So maybe there is more to what I was saying than there is a deeper connection than just sort of me like free associating. So the story here is essentially Xi Shi, right? She's very pretty for sure, but she's also sick. She has like a weak heart, I suppose. So and then like when it hurts, she'll frown, right? That's why this says like they will purse their brows. But apparently this is one of her features which like the emperor finds very like charming. It makes her look very like I guess feminine and vulnerable, I guess. Yeah. And so and then because of that, then people they wanna copy her, so they just copy like the frowning and the I guess like the moaning from pain, but they don't achieve the effect, right? They're not her. So and because it's sort of artificial and forced, it's just absurd. It's like you're not sick. Why are you making these sounds? Yeah, so I think uh that is the point here. So this 比之美, I think it's 平, right? 平 which is the frowning. So 比之美平而不知平之所以美. So so they know that the beauty frowns, but they do not know or they know that the frown is beautiful, but they do not know what it is that makes the frown beautiful. So I think it's an interesting point, but I'm not sure how that actually relates to the rest of the poem. So I don't think this is a very substantive sort of point from me here, because unless he is really trying to say that she is this, it's just this kind of the idea of like not striving for something and getting it, and using 西施 as an example. But at the same time, then if that's the point, then why would you bring in the fact that it actually blinded the king from wisdom and led to like the decline of the empire? A bit mixed. It seems like he is just telling her story. Okay. So the frowning you say is like a pouty face, as we say in English. Yeah, maybe it's like it's like duck face. It's like duck face back in the day when they instead of like pursing your lips, it's just like frowning. And Danica says maybe it's a commentary about expectations some people had about women at that time, and the price paid for beauty is humbleness. I guess you're saying because she's so beautiful, she's not humble. Interesting. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Oh, but it's weird, right? It's like they don't describe. I guess one thing I noticed from that is that from this whole poem, it's always looking from the outside in, but never from Xishu's internal perspective, right? It's oh it, it's not like oh Xishu is sad because she left her friends or her neighbors. It's just like it's all these things that are happening from the outside. And maybe or maybe that's even the point if we go about if we talk about like expectations of women or how you see beautiful women, which is that you sort of disregard their internal their inner life and all you're sort of focusing on is like how they look, right? How their external side. Hmm. That's possible. Hmm. And it's like there's almost nothing like it's like her one character trait in this poem is just that she's pretty. Like even the fact that she's sick and like suffering is just like, oh, it's part of her beauty, her charm. So so it's not a very I guess I'm saying it's not a very good character study if that was the intent, but it's it's almost like it's very like male gaze, basically, right? Hmm. Yeah. So I think yeah, that's a good point when you're saying like it's how people expect or what how people see her. Oh, and to clarify, the price paid is the need for humility. So she needs to be humble, you're saying. Hmm. Is it though? I don't know if she seems very proud here. Because you never say anything, they never say anything about how she acts. She's like wholly passive, right? She's like washing clothes at the lake, which is a pretty normal thing. And then suddenly, like, oh, she's in the palace and everyone praises her, and then they do everything for her. And it seems like the point is that then she becomes passive. She right? No more will her own hands powder her face or arrange on her shoulders a silken robe. Interesting, interesting. So does that mean that hmm, so I think you're focusing on this part, remain humbly at home. So let's see. So the humble here is this one. So way tiny, I guess. So I guess it sort of means low ranking here or like lower class. So how could Xishu remain sort of unknown or unrecognized or unrewarded? Yeah. So how could she just be a normal peasant, essentially? Hmm. Interesting. So if she's just a interesting. Yeah, I really wonder. Oh, wow, thanks to the comments though, really interesting. So it says, okay, your reply is the poem is saying grass is always greener. The price paid. Yeah, that's the price paid. Uh price is always greener. Maybe, maybe. Hmm. Wait, let's look at sort of what other people said. I feel like maybe we might be missing something also. Oh, okay. So this guy says this is kind of sarcastic. Okay. It's a sarcastic poem. Really? This guy says it's sarcastic also. What is it I mean satirizing the people who want to be her, right? Not her itself. Hmm. This is so useless. It's like, oh, it's really deep. The meaning is outside the words. Very good. Like, yeah, like, tell me what it means, man. Hmm. So here it says it's a neutral description of like an adored concubine, like how she's treated. Hmm. So he doesn't praise or like impute blame on her. Hmm. Okay, so it's kind of neutral. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, I definitely think he's not judging her. So if anything, he's judging the people who copies her, right? Yeah. So it's the last few lines. Hmm. So I feel like, yeah, if there is a critique, it would be not not critiquing 其实, but the people who try to copy her, who maybe who are trying to be something they're not. Hmm. Well, that's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good message though. It's I That's one thing I disagree with the Taoists, which is like, I mean, it's good to be content with what you have, but I think it's also good to try to improve yourself, which is a very Confucian thing, right? So, hmm, yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with this sort of stance, but I think from this comment, I can see that I think it's sort of solidifying what this poem is about, which is that some people are just naturally good and you shouldn't try to be something that you're not. Yeah. Hmm. Wow, that's kind of sad. Hmm. Right. And say Danica says, I think this one is directed to men, but men wanting their women to be beautiful, but wanting them to be submissive housewives at the same time. And that you're guessing hard here. Yeah. Yeah. Right. The poem is weird, right? I think maybe it's just this guy. Maybe it's just this poet. He's not being very, or maybe he doesn't even have a point. Maybe he's not trying to make a point, but yeah, could be, could be. There is, yeah, I think in that sense of like, you're saying you're wanting them to be submissive is because sort of the king likes it when she's like sort of hurting, right? Like sort of hurt, moaning in pain. And yeah, I guess you can also read it as a statement of like, yeah, that's just the expectations that men have of women and how, I guess just, yeah, just this idea of like how disempowering it is. Yeah, because again, like her being in the her sort of becoming this treasured concubine is sort of this move into passivity, right? And I guess this is sort of contrasted with she was already kind of passive at the start because she's just like washing clothes and stuff. Like she's not trying to get in the palace. But meanwhile, this is contrasted with like women trying to be really like very active and trying to gain some status. Personally, I think this kind of if this sort of critique is only directed at women, then I guess it's kind of misogynistic, right? It's like they should be passive. But if there's sort of a thoroughgoing critique of like, nobody should try to strive for anything, then maybe then it's not misogynistic, it's just weird. But yeah, at least in this context, it's kind of just a weird poem, man. Yeah, just a weird poem. Huh. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready to move on from this. So maybe he's trolling us. Yeah, maybe, yeah. This looks like a face of a troll. Why is it so blurry? Also, he looks a lot more frail than like I imagined. So interesting. Okay. All right. New guy, Meng Haoran. Let's close the tabs and I guess no, it's like we're halfway through. Okay, making good time actually. And thanks for sending your comments, by the way. It's like you can tell I feel I'm a lot more like energetic now because I'm responding to you. All right, and you are saying, point is, looks amazing to be her on the outside, but behind her painfully pretty face is profound pain. I see where you're coming from, but I don't know. But the thing is, he doesn't describe her internal state at all. So I'm not sure if we could go so far as saying that it's painful from her side. Oh, but you're saying because she's sick. She's sick. That's why the moaning, right? Ah, okay. Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point. Yeah, you're right. Hmm. Interesting. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. And I guess because of that, then because of this valuation of like uh almost pain, right? Like then it sort of causes the women to almost try to be in other women to try to be in pain themselves, which is not cool, right? I mean, I guess it's okay if they're just pretending to be in pain, but if it ends up causing them to actually think, oh, I wish I was sick so I could be charming like Xi, then that's like messed up. Yeah. So I guess ancient China is misogynistic. That's sort of the conclusion we landed on. So yep, it's all impede. Ah, yeah. It's pretty, yeah. I hope things are better now. I hope. uh, okay, here's a poem about a mountain. I wonder, yeah, I don't know. I hope there's something, I don't know, I hope this is kind of different from the earlier poems. Let's see. All right, so 秋登兰山记张武 on climbing Orchid Mountain in the autumn to Zhang. 北山白云里，迎着自怡月。相望时登高，心随燕飞灭。愁因薄暮起，心事清秋发。 时见归村人，沙行渡头歇。天边树若寄，江畔周如月。何当载酒来，共醉重阳节。So, on the northern peak among white clouds, you have found your hermitage of peace. And now, as I climb this mountain to see you, high with the wild geese flies my heart. The quiet dusk might seem a little sad if this autumn weather were not so brisk and clear. I look down at the riverbank with homeward bound villagers resting on the sand till the ferry returns. There are trees at the horizon like a row of grasses, and against the sun and against the river's rim, an island like the moon. I hope that you will come and meet me, bringing a basket of wine, and we'll celebrate together the mountain holiday. Okay, I feel like there's not much to analyze, but it's a really sweet poem. It's like he's climbing a mountain to meet his friend. Like that's dedication, dude. It's like, wow, how high with the wild geese flies my heart. Wow, that's really nice. Mm. Okay, let's see if there's any significance to the mountain holiday or 重阳节. Like, kind of curious about the reference, but okay. So, during that period, it is a custom to uh just to go to like an elevated place, somewhere that's high up, to have a feast. So that's why he's going to find his friend. So it's not that he likes I mean, I guess he likes his friend enough to go, but it's not only because of their friendship. It's because it's literally the day to do it. It's like bring your daughter to work day, right? It's like, oh, it's not like it's because you want your daughter to see what you do, but it's also because it's a day and everyone's doing it, right? So okay, interesting. Huh. Hmm. So it's just like a festive occasion and sort of going in the mountains. Hmm. Hmm. I wonder what isn't this weird? I hope that you will come and meet me, bringing a basket of wine. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously he's gonna come, right? Like, or I thought it was like arranged between the two of you. So it's kind of weird. There's like, oh, it seems a bit uncertain here. I wonder why. 河当. Let's see what the Chinese is saying. I don't really get this. Okay, so 河当 is like, it is also more like tentative, like it's sort of a suggestion. So I guess he scared that he'll get ghosted? Like, dude, you climb a freaking mountain. Like, don't like. I mean, I would be pretty annoyed if I climbed the mountain and my friend ghosted me. Yeah, but But I guess in that case, it you can tell he's kind of sincere, right? It's not like, or at least I'm reading it as sincere. Like, it's not just like this is a thing we do because it is the custom, but it seems like he genuinely does want to have this meeting. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, but even if he's doing it just for the custom, then he did climb a mountain, so he obviously hopes that it works out, you know? But so I'm not, hmm. Okay, yeah, so maybe this is not too significant. either way. Huh. Okay, so yep, it all looks silly from afar. Okay. Mm, mm, right. That's for the previous poem, I believe. Okay. All right. But I guess for this, let's look at the famous critics. Maybe it's just like this. It's just just about this occasion. Okay, yeah, they say this is about literally what happened. It's about it's gonna be autumn, and so you climb a mountain and then hang out with your friend. Interesting. Okay, there's something about the meter here that they're pointing out. So, 何当在酒来，共醉重阳节. So this is supposed to be what? So this matches the starting part, is it? So apparently it matches the starting part, I suppose, in the meter. Because okay, or maybe the 月 and the 里 and the 来. So maybe it rhymes with these two, the first two lines. Maybe, okay. And it says, huh, okay, the rhyme, let's assume it rhymes, because they're not very explicit about how exactly it corresponds to the first two lines. But I mean, it doesn't really rhyme now, but I can see how it could have rhymed in uh like 1,000 years ago, right? The pronunciations back then. So, and it says because of this matching, it accentuates or emphasizes the strength of their friendship, I guess. Mm, mm, does it? Okay, I guess if it's like if you can even look at it like so there's this connection, right, between like this part and this part. So it's like the connection between them, even though it's separated by distance. I think that makes sense. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Oh, okay. So this they like this. There's these two lines with 天边 and okay, these two lines. So let's see. There are trees at the horizon like a row of grasses, and against the river's rim, an island like the moon. Hmm. Yeah, it is really well written. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Nice. I think that's really about it. Yeah, I guess honestly, a lot of at least the poems for these few days is just about how is that the writing is very good. The use of words is very good, but so it's very hard to not much to analyze lah, other than saying it was very well written. But yeah, I pretty much I quite like this. Danica says he's a hopeless romantic. Interesting. Huh. Hmm. Okay. And in recent times, guys like him are called Sims. That is true. That is true. He is a simp, right? It's like climb the mountain and then he's like stressing out about getting ghosted. Damn. Honestly, there's a lot of simps in Chinese poetry, yeah. So, mm, yeah. But this is, I think his friend is a guy, by the way. Mm. But you can be simping for, yeah, simping doesn't only have to be for the opposite gender, right? Yeah, whatever. I think simp is a pretty good description. Mm, wow. That's pretty nice though. Maybe I should try climbing a mountain someday. Drinking at the mountaintop. All right, I feel kind of ready to go to the next one. Really just trying to find one poem to that I can properly analyze. But uh, okay. I think this one, yeah, maybe I should just be looking at it in a different way because this one is like feels like kind of the same thing. He's like just missing his friend. Yeah. But the same guy as well, Meng Haoran. So 夏日南亭怀心大. So in summer of at the South Pavilion, thinking of Xin, 山光突西落，池月渐东上，散发成夜凉，开轩卧闲场，和风送香气，竹露滴清响，日取鸣琴弹，恨无知音赏，感此怀故人，终宵劳梦想。The mountain light suddenly fails in the west. In the east, from the lake, the slow moon rises. I loosen my hair to enjoy the evening coolness and open my window and lie down in peace. The wind brings me odors of lotuses, and bamboo leaves drip with a music of dew. I would take up my lute and I would play, but alas, who here would understand? And so I think of you, old friend, old troubler of my midnight dreams. So who would understand? So this is the same thing we talked about earlier today. So there isn't a 知音, the one who knows your sound. So there isn't a 知音 to appreciate it. So yeah, sort of the same idea. Actually, that made me think of something because like there's also this idea in Chinese culture of like it's called like 感应. It's like it's almost like wireless transmission sort of idea where it's like things you do can have like impact or like sort of things you can affect each other like over long distances. That sort of idea. So it came from this. So if you play music, like if there's a string of like if the resonant frequency is a certain thing, right? And then if you sing the frequency, right, then the string will also start to vibrate because the frequency of the pitch is the same, right? So this was actually used as evidence for the idea that like similar things sort of affect each other over distances. Yeah, this 感应, right? This, I guess, resonance, you can call it. So I think I can see why this now that I can see why this idea of like a 知音 is a really good metaphor for like friendship, because there's also this idea of like these two similar people and then over long distances, but they can still have like some sort of connection, right? And it's sort of like the previous poem where the first part rhymes with the last part. So there's still the kind of, so it's literally a sound connection over a distance. Yeah. So yeah, that's a sort of breakthrough of the day for me. Okay. So then, all right, let's look at this. So it's like a sunset and this guy's just like chilling at home, I guess. And then smells lotuses. Wow, and it's like evening dew and playing his instrument. I guess the qin is they translate it as the lute. Okay. And so who would understand? So I think of you, old friends, old troubler of my midnight dreams. That does sound like a simp, right? What kind of dreams are you having, dude? Okay. Then interesting. Well, why does this friend enter in his dreams though? I wonder if is there a very specific connection between them? Okay, there's just old friends, it seems. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I gotta say, he misses his friend. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, I guess they do people like the parts where it's like the wind of the lotus scent and the dew on the bamboo. I think it is really nice. I like those images, yeah. And the way the verbs, they like the verbs that are being used, like to send and to drip. So okay. So literally, I guess if I do a literal translation, like word by word, it'd be like lotus, wind, sand, fragrant air. So I think calling it a lotus wind is really nice, really well done. And then bamboo dew, drip, clear echo. Yeah. So I guess I can see these are very well written, very well constructed lines. Yeah. And you see they're also parallel, by the way. So yeah, so these are both nouns and the nouns, verb, I guess adjective, noun. So yeah. Okay, I think very tempted to just move on. Like reading reads enough friendship poems for a day. Well, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Uh let's go to the next one then, which will be by him again. Wow, that's geez, I think it's the same thing, man. It's always about his friend. He's literally waiting for his friend again. No way. Okay. Meng Haoran, at the mountain lodge of the Buddhist priest. What's this? They don't have the tones for this. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, waiting. I thought the name of the priest is Wai Ting or something. Okay. So at the mountain lodge of the Buddhist priest, yeah, waiting in vain for my friend Ding. Ding 树叶师山房在丁大不至。夕阳渡西岭，群鹤调以鸣。松月生夜凉，风泉满清听。樵人归日尽，烟鸟栖初定。之子期宿来，孤琴喉罗尽。Now that the sun has set beyond the western range, valley after valley is shadowy and dim. And now through pine trees come the moon and the chill of evening, and my ears feel pure with the sound of wind and water. Nearly all the woodsmen have reached home. Birds have settled on their perches in the quiet mist. And still, because you promised, I am waiting for you, waiting, playing lute under a wayside vine. Wow, it's literally the same as before. I guess maybe this guy just likes to compose poems while he's waiting for his friends. So there's a lot of friend waiting poems, which is pretty nice. Like, I guess Next time I'm made to wait, I could write a poem. All right, then yeah. Let's see. Let's not zoom past this too fast, but okay. Yeah, it's literally he's waiting for his friend and his friend didn't show up. Oh, geez. And what did they say? Dude, honestly, that's it. I don't have anything to say. Yeah, I guess okay. I think it's kind of the way this phrases it is interesting. So it's like his friend didn't come in the end. So he did get ghosted here. Whereas previously it was like kind of tentative. But here he's still holding on to hope by, I mean, because he's playing the lute, but it's literally like, oh, here it says he's like hugging the lute, right? Which maybe, is that how you play it? In a, like by hugging it? Yeah, but that's kind of sad. Yeah, this is different from the rest because yeah, it's like, it's not like a festive occasion. Like, it is really like people have just gone home and he's sort of alone in this, um, yeah, I guess in this temple. And he's like, he could just go to sleep, but he's just waiting for his friend and like believing that things that he will come. Wow, actually that's really beautiful. Wow. Wow. It's just sometimes you gotta have faith even if it does get betrayed sometimes, right? So yeah, wow, I really like this. Okay, let's move on to the next one. These guys all have these poems all have really long titles, especially when it's like this very specific situation where something happened. So, right. So 同从地, sorry, this is from Wang Changling. So 同从地难摘, what's this? Oh, 晚月一山阴, Cui Shaofu. With my brother at the self-study, thinking in the moonlight of Vice Prefect Cui in Shanyin. What? It's like those nowadays those Japanese light novels with like insanely long titles. It's the same vibe. Right, so this one. 高卧南斋时，开惟月出兔，清辉淡水木，眼仰在窗户，冉冉几盈虚，澄澄变筋骨，美人清江畔，是夜月凝月盈苦，千里其如何？微风吹兰渡。Lying on a high seat in the self-study, we have lifted the curtain and we see the rising moon, brighten with pure light the water and the grove, and flow like a wave on our window and our door. It will move through the circle, full moon, and then crescent again, calmly beyond our wisdom, altering new to old. Our chosen one, our friend, is now by a limpid river, singing perhaps a plaintive eastern song. He's far, far away from us, 300 miles away, and yet a breath of orchids comes along with the wind. Okay, so now he isn't waiting for his friend, but he's thinking of his friend, right? Interesting. So looking at the moon, okay. And then you're saying the moon goes through a cycle. And I guess that the implication is that because things repeat, that they're gonna meet their friend again. And also this idea, I guess, that they're both under the same moon, right? Wow. I like the last line a lot though. It's like, even though he's far away, but you can smell the orchids. I mean, smell is such an immediate sensation that I guess it feels like their friend is right there. I'm not sure why their friend is correlated with orchids though, but interesting. Let's see. What's this? 蓝兔. I see. So it's like, even though you're far away, how don't we? Oh, okay. So there's a variant here. So this is qi, and this in this other variant is gong. I feel like the gong reading makes more sense because or at least it works better. Whereas like when is you're like 1,000 li away, why don't we do something together? Let's share something. Or what do we share? And it's like, oh, then the mild wind blows in the scent of the orchid. So I like this idea where even though you're far apart, you're still both having this immediate sensation of the orchid scent. So I quite like that actually. Hmm. Wow. Man, I'm very tempted to just skip because the famous critics are not saying anything at all. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Maybe just a bit more about the moon. I think the moon is interesting. Oh, okay. Ah, some more comments from you. All right. It's really helpful me pointing over the characters. The more the better, because then we can read the pinyin and dictionary. Okay. I'll try to do that more when we're talking about what's that? When we're examining specific lines. Yeah. I can't really do it for everything because it'll take like a really long time, but I'll try to do that more. And thanks for pointing it out. Then the next one says, does the word friend always have a non-romantic connotation? Because playing flute at midnight means another thing in the West. That's true. That's true. Hmm. And Portland says hello, so I'll say hello. Non-romantic connotation. Well, I mean, I guess so. But also when they say like friend, it's also like these are very strong friendships, right? It's I guess if you're talking about like homosexuality in the past, then um it's not a big deal. It's like, there are emperors who just have like male lovers, and it's like not a big deal. Yeah. But the thing is, you gotta have like a wife because you gotta continue your family line now. So I guess in that sense, it's like, I mean, it's only very recently that when you say like homosexuality becomes an identity, right? Back like in the past, even in like medieval times in the West, it's just a thing you did. It's not what you are. It's like I I eat instant noodles, but I am not a noodle eater. It's a thing I do, but it's not who I am. So, but I feel like if it was actually like some sort of lover relationship, they would say it because there isn't, at the same time, there isn't that kind of stigma, I suppose, against same-sex relationships. I mean, you still gotta have like a heterosexual thing to have kids. But so I don't know. But I can see how these friendships can be very like romantically charged. Yeah. But I mean, I'm pretty sure when it says playing the flute at midnight, it's not a euphemism. It wasn't meant that way. But right, because it's not the flute as well, it's the lute. So a lute is more, it's like a string instrument, yeah. So it's not like a wind instrument. Yeah. So I guess it wouldn't really work as a, the mechanics of it really wouldn't really transfer to a kind of a sexual act. Yeah. So interesting observation though. So you say, yeah, it's kind of platonic. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, yeah, I guess it is platonic then. Yeah. And that doesn't mean it can't be very deep and meaningful friendship, right? Yeah. But I'm not an expert, so maybe there was something romantic going on, but they just didn't want to write it in the poem. I mean, the previous guy, he wrote a lot of poems so about missing his friends. So yeah, maybe he has a lot of has a very rich social life. Yeah. And I guess for this again, I think it is interesting that I think the image of the moon sort of going through the whole cycle is pretty interesting. Like that's not something you see before, right? Before it's always depicting like what's going on right away at that time. But here is like he's almost like projecting into the future, right? Like he's seeing through time. And it's a bit more, yeah, so I think that's really interesting. And it's a very interesting way, I guess, to show like the way he is looking into the future and hoping to see his friend. Yeah. So good poem. I'm pretty into this. Or pretty interesting. And I guess, yeah. Let's move on to the next one now. Kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of tired of reading the same poem again and again. I hope this is something different. Let's Chiu Wei. So after missing the recluse on the western mountain, so 寻西山隐者不遇，绝顶一毛，辞直上30里，扣关无同仆，窥视为暗己，若非经柴车，应是吊秋水，插池不相见，敏，哎，really 免。空仰止，草色新雨中，松声晚窗里，及兹切幽绝，自足荡心耳，虽无宾主意，颇得清净离。this is 日 right？ 心 sorry， 心静方下山，何必待之子？ To your hermitage here on top of the mountain, I have climbed without stopping these 10 miles. I have knocked at your door and no one answered. I have peeped into your room at your seat beside the chair. Perhaps you are out riding in your canopied chair, or fishing, more likely, in some autumn pool. Sorry though I am to be missing you. You have become my meditation. The beauty of your grasses, fresh with rain, and close beside your window the music of your pines. I take into my being all that I see and hear, soothing my senses, quieting my heart. And though there be neither host nor guest, have I not reasoned a visit complete? After enough, I have gone down the mountain. Why should I wait for you any longer? Hey, this sounds weirdly romantic, right? You have become my meditation. Okay, what does it actually say though? 应是不相见this 明免空仰止 What? That's nothing to do with meditation, does it? So note 9. Oh, 明免 is oh, they're both poetry references. So it's like to 明免 is to work hard or very sincerely. 仰望 仰止 is to look up to, literally. And there's another poetic reference. Oh, so it's looking up at the high mountain. So it's more like I'm looking up to you. It's not like you are my meditation, right? So it's like you're my role model. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense, I think, because it's kind of weird to say that to like a recluse, right? Because not even your friend, you don't even have his name, and like the guy doesn't even show up. So it'd be kind of weird to or the it sounded very intimate. This you have become my meditation. So I think it makes more sense now that it's more like you are my role model. Yeah. Okay, so this I like this. This is pretty deep. So there's neither host nor guest, right? Because the host isn't there, and because he's not being hosted, he's not technically a guest. Like he's not in the house, right? But the visit is enough. Like he has accomplished what he wants, what he came for, because the scenery itself is teaching him the lesson. It's like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. And after enough, I have gone down the mountain. Why should I wait for you any longer? Like, I mean, it's really deep, right? Like, if you compare this to anything else, it's like you go to a concert and then you're in the concert hall and you're like, wow, just this hall has given me all the music I need, and then you leave. So that's what he's saying, right? So it's pretty crazy what he's trying to say. And I think okay, I think it's the Taoist vibes again, is because the like what is the hermit? The ideal of this hermit is to be spontaneous, right? It's like and it's literally it's called 自然 lah. And nowadays 自然 means nature because also I guess nature spontaneously becomes as it is. So it's natural, right? So I think it's very interesting. So is this connection again where you're trying to meet someone who has like retained this peak state of spontaneity, but then you don't even need to meet him because even the surroundings, you realize the surroundings is enough to teach you the lesson. Like the whole world is like this. Yeah, and so there's neither host nor guest. So there's right, and here is like 虽无宾主义 So there's no volition, there's no intent almost. So I think this ties back to the whole Taoist idea of like not trying to will anything, not trying to do anything consciously, and not making the distinctions, creating these conceptual distinctions of host and guest, right? So very Taoist poem, I feel. This is you're trying to, because the ideal state is this non-conceptual state of spontaneity that does not make any sort of distinctions between things, because everything is sort of like this great unity. And yeah, right, it's like if everything is a unity, so that's why you don't need to see him because the 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 wind is the hermit, the tree is the hermit. Like we are all one, I guess. So yeah, you can tell I've been reading a lot of Taoism recently, but yeah, I really like this. I feel like it's a very profound poem. Hmm. Wow. And you say this is beautiful. Thanks. Right. Such a great poem. Wow. Wow. I wonder if other people like it as much as me. Let's see if they have famous critics here. Hmm. Well, it's not okay, it's kind of, let's see. Yeah, I guess it's saying, yeah, even though he didn't meet the person, it wasn't a loss. It wasn't yeah, like he still got over it. Like he still got what he wanted. Yeah. You mm, okay, nothing. It's a lot about the way he said, but yeah, I think this is yeah, just a great Taoist poem, right? Because even in the title, you're like, oh, I'm going to find this, and then I didn't attain it, and it's like you'd expect it to be kind of annoyed, right? But instead, he says, without meeting you, I got what I wanted, and maybe it's even better because then we didn't even need to do this whole host and guest thing, host guest thing, which in my reading would be so detracting from the ideal state of non distinction. Yeah. Interesting. Right? So it's like, why should I wait for you any longer? It's like the visit would not be more complete if the hermit came. If anything, it might even be less complete, right? Because so it in doing so it's like in not getting what you want, you actually got what you wanted, but even better. So it's just wow, yeah, it's just very dull with this kind of like uh twisty logic where yeah, where sort of your intentions fail or but you like in failing you succeed. Yeah. So yeah, I will bet $50 that this is a Taoist poem. It's really yeah, really good. Wow, okay. Do you have any comments on this? It says, oh, you saved the poem for me. Hits the spot now. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I didn't expect to like this so much. I feel like this saved like the entire session for me. Because it was just like, 8 poems of like missing your friend. Like I get it, but I can't but reading the same thing 8 times is like a pain. So yeah, this is really, really beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I hope maybe next time we can read like all these Taoists like Dao De Jing and Dao De Jing and Zhuangzi. Would be really nice. Yeah. It's gonna be pretty difficult though, but we can work on it slowly once we're done with the poems. Yeah. And if not, maybe we can move to the last poem. Oh, I always say, wow, it's so profound and you love my interpretation and explanation. Oh, thanks. It's yeah, because my undergraduate thesis, like my honors thesis is on like Taoism right now. So I've been reading a lot of exactly these sort of ideas. So yeah, it's really, really good, right? Like this might be one of my favorite poems now. Hmm. Okay. I hope the last one can match up to this. Okay, doesn't look like it's that good. Let's give it a try. All right, this is by what's this? 齐无钱. Okay. A boat in spring on 若崖 Lake. Should be 若耶 吧? Right, right. So 春帆若耶兮，忧意无断绝，此去随所偶。晚风吹行舟，花路入溪口。既夜转西鹤，隔山望南斗。What's this? 潭烟飞溶溶，林月低向后。声势且弥漫，愿为持竿搜。持竿叟。Thoughtful elation has no end. Onward I bear it to whatever come. And my boat and I, before the evening breeze, passing flowers, entering the lake, turn at nightfall toward the western valley, where I watch the south star over the mountain, and the mist that rises hovering soft, and the low moon slanting through the trees. And I choose to put away from me every worldly matter, and only to be an old man with a fishing pole. Okay. Thoughtful elation has no end. Not sure what this means. Thoughtful. Okay, so it's saying it's the desire to search for. Wow, how do you even define this? Yo, I guess it can be like pleasure, but it's kind of feels like more of a chill kind of like pleasure, if that makes sense. It's like the pleasure you get from like seeing a bird fly as opposed to like going to Disneyland. If you, yeah, okay. So, okay, so thoughtful elation has no end. Onward I bear it to whatever come. And my boat and I, before the evening breeze, passing flowers, entering the lake, turn at nightfall toward the western valley, where I watch the south star over the mountain and the mist that rises hovering soft, and the low moon slanting through the trees. Wow. And I choose to put away from me every worldly matter, and only to be an old man with a fishing pole. So you notice in English, it's like this is one sentence. So that's pretty interesting. It's like never ending, right? It's like and. I mean, it's not really in the Mandarin, but the Chinese, but interesting translation. I don't think it's saying, I think it's exactly what it says here. It's just like he's enjoying the scenery and trying to not think too much and be present in the world. Okay. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Like not much to say other than to be present. Okay, so Tri-State asked me if I'm double majoring in Buddhist and Taoist studies. Kind of. I'm just majoring in philosophy, but I'm working on like the interaction between Buddhism and Taoism. So that's why I'm kind of reading both. Yeah. And because before I've been doing a lot of Confucianism stuff, so it's just yeah, I thought it was a nice opportunity to work on like the other two big traditions in East Asian culture. So yeah, I feel probably, but yeah, but Buddhism is like huge, so it's really hard. I think Taoism, I have a better grasp, at least of the main text. So we could read those too, maybe in the future. Like after we're done with these poems. Yeah. Yeah, amazing, you say. Thanks. Yeah, it's really fun. Gotta say, Chinese philosophy is very fun. Yeah. And yeah, there's this saying, right, in Chinese studies, which is literature, history, and philosophy, they're not separate. They're all sort of related, right? Very closely connected to each other, which is why I feel like it's worth reading these poems. And I mean, even like the last poem has a lot of philosophical content, right? And you read something like the Tao Te Ching, is like the way it says it is very like, or the Zhuangzi, Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi, like the way they write is like you need to read it the same way you would read a poem. So and yeah, so I think it's all sort of related, and which is also why I'm trying to read more poetry by doing this with you guys. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not a literature major, so I can't comment too much on like literary history and things like that. But I think like as people, we can all understand poetry. Like if it's a good poem, then it should connect with most people on some level, right? So yeah, hopefully this is interesting. But at least for this one, honestly, for this poem, I have nothing to say. Maybe a lot of these poems are about not having things to say, right? That's why there's nothing for me to say. It's about just being present, just being in the moment, and by writing it down, they're so preserving that moment, right? That they can always go back to. So maybe that's why there hasn't been much to analyze today. Yeah. Okay, all of this just saying is really good. So the famous critics just say it's really good. So yeah, maybe let's be in the moment one more time. I'll just read the whole poem one more time and we can call it a day. Doesn't seem like there's much to say. So yeah, okay. I'll just read it in Chinese one more time and I'll end the stream. Yeah. So thanks to everyone who came today. And yeah, I feel like the previous poem really was made this whole session worth it. So I hope it was fun. All right, one more time. This is 春饭若耶溪，优异无断绝。此去随所偶，晚风吹行舟。花路入溪口，寂夜转西壑。隔山望南斗，潭烟飞溶溶。明月低向后，声势且弥漫。愿为持竿叟。All right. All right. I'll call it a day then. All right. Bye bye. Hope to see y'all next week.